I've also been of two of my group companies, Malco Energy.
Be more powerful than the others sitting on the stage, I can assure you that. So I'm going to have more questions for you. It'd be good if you could give a flavor of, in your entire digital value chain, what are the kind of newer technologies that you use so that, and we will dig deeper into it as the evening goes by, but it'll be good for us to have a flavor of what new technologies you're using across your value chain.
So I think to make the topic more interesting, I'm sure each one of you sitting here would be interested. 10% of your revenues you want to increase, how many of you would be interested? How many of you would be interested to be on the top notch of quality? I'm sure all of you here would be saying a yes to these questions. And that is where technology can take us to. And we have witnessed this in the entire cycle of operations, as Gopi said, right from the stage where I do my raw material procurement, the supply process, the supply chain process, the entire operations, the materials getting into the operations space, and then the maintenance, which is maybe 60% of our costs are on equipments and maintenance and so on. So it's a very intensive industry. And then going to the customer side, the marketing cycle, I think all of this has been part of our digital interventions. And if I have to take you through the cycle, maybe at the raw material stage, where I try to procure concentrates of different quality from different mines across the world. So how do I do a blending? Do I still manage with an Excel sheet, managing the various components? It has all the elements the periodic table has. Does a human mind apply fully and able to do a proper blending? There can be errors. That is where technology has helped in. We have completely a mine blending option which looks at all of the quality of the raw materials and tells me that this is the quality of input which is going to go into the furnace for this kind of a material. This is the other fluxes required, this is the quantity required, this is the oxygen required, this is the fuel required. Everything is mapped to the furnace based on the input quality of my raw material. And this entire process is controlled through an advanced process control. So everything is automated. There can be no manual interventions in this. So the entire operations at the first stage is taken care in terms of process variabilities. So once this operation is on, we do have intermittent processes in terms of gaseous, because in our raw material, if you see, basically there is copper, sulfur and iron. So we try to segregate each of this. And the process has so much variations because in the kind of processes which happens, there is a sequential process and you have processes which has a cycle time. So you have both happening parallelly. So the input to my sulfuric acid plant, which is basically my acid, the sulfur dioxide gases, has variation in its sulfur percentage. And then when I make the sulfuric acid, there is a process called a conversion process, which is SO2 to SO3 conversion, where the beds have to be maintained at a certain temperature. So all this is controlled. The bed temperatures are controlled through a APC measure. And so that I end up having a very smooth process. When I say APC, the entire process is automated and also analytics flows in. It just not tells about that this is the parameters which has to be maintained, but it also gives me a complete analytics of the last 3 months, last 6 months, last 1 year, how efficient I have been, the process capabilities are known, basis this APC measures. Now when you come into the supply chain, so we do have a process of completely manless weighbridges, where the entire transport mechanism is intelligent based system. We call it as ITMS, Intelligent Management, Transport Management System, which is like the vehicle comes in, like how you have in your toll plaza, where you are able to, your vehicle is scanned and then you are able to move through. It is exactly the same process. When my vehicle comes in, it is actually at the weighbridge. The entire process is automated. There is no person sitting there. It takes the weight of the truck, the empty weight, and then it goes inside. There is, as soon as the truck reaches the spot, it gives an indication for the acid or whatever product which has to be filled in the truck. It gets filled in. That is also an automated process. Beyond a limit, the acid flow into the truck is stopped. It comes out, and again when it goes back, it is measured and it leaves. So there is no manual intervention at all. This entire process is completely automated. Thirdly, I would like to give an example in terms of the customer. So I do have products which are of different qualities, so and different types. So it is completely, the order can be placed by the customer on an online portal. The quality is known to him. This is the different types of material available. This is the stock available. This is the time by which the material can reach the place. So every information is available to the customer, and the customer is able to place the order on the portal for the quantity what he requires, and then the entire order is taken. He pays the advance. Everything is there in the system. He is the material gets dispatched, and then he is able to track the entire material, because every truck moving out has the GPS system, which is again automated. So the customer exactly knows where the truck is lying and how many days or how many hours it is going to take for the material to reach his premises. I think that's the kind of efficiency we have built in. And this, when I say all of this processes, it actually controls many things what I said in terms of a truck turnaround time. When I am able to better manage the truck turnaround time, I am able to move material faster within the site. It also has an indirect benefit on the safety aspects. And ESG, of course, in manufacturing companies, I need not say the kind of importance we all give for the ESG. And safety, what we have done is, there is wearable helmets where people wear the helmets and he is tracked. As soon as he enters inside the site, we know where this person is at the site. And if he is doing some unsafe act, there is an alarm which is thrown to the system that this person is not wearing the helmet here, or he is using a mobile. So the alert is coming to a dashboard, and the person is able to be given a counseling. So this is the kind of actual control which used to happen conventionally by a safety officer moving inside the site, like a policeman. Gone are the days. Now it is, you make a person wear the helmet, go inside the site, and you know what exactly the person is up to. Is he going to a site which is unsafe? You are able to give him the instructions which needs be. So I think across the value chain, we are able to see the kind of digital interventions which can improve our efficiencies, which can improve our cost, which can improve our the volumes, production volumes. When I say APC control, ultimately it results in increase in volume at the end of the day. So I think I can keep on giving examples. Let me stop here and then.
No, thank you very much. This is where you're using APC, where you're getting better efficiency than even in your transportation within the supply chain part, where your customers are ordering. So Ram, this question's for you. And in terms of you're familiar with all the new technologies from your McKinsey days, and now you are running a SME, I should say. So what are the challenges for a smaller organization? How is it different from the way Sumati has been talking about her organization? So I'd like to have your perspective on that.
Sure, thank you, Gopi. I think I'll have to piggyback on a lot of what Sumati said. I mean, I can identify with it quite easily in terms of what can be done and to resolve complexity in a large company situation. In a small company situation, the story is a little bit different, and I'm going to take it in two parts. One is what happens inside our fence of a small company. What is it that we can do that does two things? It's always two things. How do I improve quality, or how do I cut cost? Both of these lead to value for the small enterprise. The question is, what are those things that can happen? I'll give you an example now in one of our family companies, what we're doing. So we used to make, the company makes what's called a tap changer. The tap changer is a device that goes on the secondary side of the distribution transformer. And basically, for lack of to make it simple, it's basically a voltage stabilizer, right? Like you have to talk with your fridge. The only difference is it does it without disconnecting the power source. It automatically on load adjusts the voltage, right? To deal with the variation of the power source. So one of the things that you need in order to make a tap change is a large tank, right? In which you actually have to house these things. And so far, there's a big dirty fabrication shop where you would weld these tanks. It's just traditional industry. You go to Ambattur industrial area, which is where we are. This is what you're seeing, right? Very different from what you might see in larger setups. But here you have it. 6 months ago, we decided to invest in robotic welding. So robots coming in, and the entire shop as we know it is going to go away. Right? And tanks are going to be made by robots. So a few things here, advantages from a small company point of view. The number of people you need in that shop reduced dramatically. Union troubles decline. Costs come down. Quality goes up. Right? That's the deal that you're looking for. And the payback period is less than 2 years. This is what a small entrepreneur is looking for. The rest of it is jazz, right? Unless all of these happen, the MSME is not going to invest in technology the way we imagine it. It has to meet the pocketbook requirements of the entrepreneur. Only then will they actually do it. Otherwise, it's great for conversations, but it won't happen. So here's an example from the tap changer business that that I described for you. Now I make fans, BLDC, brushless DC fans, which is you will soon hear about it because it's being mandated into law, given the extent of energy savings we have on these things. And you might be shocked or not shocked to hear that you have 60 crore ceiling fans spinning in this country, which are inefficient. And if you actually deliver 50 watts on those, the averted capital is $25 billion. So that should make, not surprising that Prime Minister Modi has that as the first device which he wants to fix in this country. It's the ceiling fan, which is, crazy. In this industry, as we look at it, I make these, the fans that I make are basically electronic devices, right? I mean, it has basically a controller and I can get whatever data I want. If I have a GPS module and it spits out information like you can't believe, I can control it from wherever I want, etc. Now, question for my consumer is, that guy is measuring, price differences in 50 and 80 rupees. I mean, that's the extent of price sensitivity on some of these product markets. That's on the ceiling fan for retail. A same fan right now, I mean, we're actually moving to transformer cooling fans. Right? So in that situation and context, large transformer companies want that information. Right? Temperature sensors spit out the information, and they can sit wherever they are, far away, and control the data that's coming out of these devices. So you have very different needs, and the same controls that we have on our devices can be made to be intelligent or not, depending on market requirements. That I think is a nuance. As far as our company is concerned, right from day one, we have an ERP that's homemade by a company in Besant Nagar in Chennai, made for our purposes. Our inventory is scanned, it goes to the cloud. I can get whatever I want on my phone. I can approve, disapprove. All that stuff is there in a very, very early stage. I mean, we're like 3.5 years old, and so we're able to do that. And as we go along, I think we will adopt, whatever makes sense. But it's not one size fits all, and we will always look at what's pragmatic, and that's the engineer. So we will be very judicious about what to adopt, what not to adopt, but keep the flexibility in the system that we can actually integrate it. I think that's how we think. I don't know if it really answers.
Thanks, Ram. I really appreciate it because the reason I was in 2 Industry 4.0 companies, right? Personally, so I would like to have his take on what's all this jazz about 4.0 and all of this, and how is this really relevant to specific companies that you've invested in? What is your thoughts on this?
I think the larger company and the smaller company touched upon what issues they are trying to solve and how he is trying to adapt 4.0. The madam asked a question, how many of you wanted to increase the productivity? If I can ask the question, how many of you would like to get 10 lakhs MSME loan without any collateral? That could have been a much more effective way to promote this kind of industry 4.0 into the older machines. For them to get converted into if it's a new generation company, they come out with all these kinds of technologies and immediately implement it because they would have calculated all the issues which is related to that. But older companies have all the problems. So I was trying to dig into this because I have an investment in a company in Canada. I have one investment in IIT research. Both of them deal with collecting data from the various industries. See, again, the industry has to be divided into process industry as well as the manufacturing side. In manufacturing, product and the services. All of them have a very different problems. I can give examples of all of this. How this has been done for a company in Canada. The US government actually adopted the Manufacturing Association. They selected that as one of the shortlisted products which can be implemented in US. For the small and medium company where 200,000, more than 200,000 small and medium companies are there which they wanted to promote. Their small and medium is much larger, and that what the company does is they integrate their all the data of the small and medium into that portal of government. The government subsidizes anybody wanted to buy this product and equip it into the industry. This is the big move. Unless government here, which we are also, SICI is trying to put this on both central government and the state government, making sure that all the industries have ability to change their existing organization into a data organization. But again, there is one more issue which we came up. I'll come to that issue later. The second company which I deal with, they made one product which measures air and the temperature and all that. End of the day, they were trying to service the buildings, but they were not able to be very successful. In Corona, what they did is, they went and serviced a process industry, oil manufacturing industry. The biggest benefit that the promoter got was, he found out the electricity which was used during the, where the electricity cost is much higher, the time frame. The power was used there, but power was not used when the cost is lesser. Immediately, the power factor differences which he found out, immediately he asked his manager to make the shift in the whole thing, and he saved 30% in the electricity. So this is the power of data. For me, you forget all this industry 4.0 and all these are jargons, and next year the same place, probably I'll be talking about digital twin, which is on the web 3.0. So the next one will be things to listen, happy to be part of. But what suggestions possibly we may go across and find out is the larger companies. One of the product which I was with associated with, they given the same product for a large, for the small and medium to the suppliers. 250 suppliers have this product, and they only will check quality. They are not for any other cost reduction or the maintenance and all that. They do not want to use that product. They wanted to check quality, as madam was talking about, quality is verified and anybody can buy the product. The large company adapted the small and medium to be establishing this industry 4.0. Then I asked the same question: if they have adapted, is there anything has improved in there? As Sir was talking about, Ram was talking about the pockets of the small and medium, as they improved. Not much, but it is in a similar way they are able to sustain the relationship with the larger company. That is the only thing happening. Then the question I asked is why they are not using the other two elements. One on the maintenance, one is quality of maintenance, and one more that electricity and all that is also being measured. So I asked them why they are not using that kind of a data for anything else. There is no use for them, so they don't use. Then I was remembering those days like ISO 9000. Like any company, larger company says that if you are ISO 9000 certified, then I will give you orders. So everybody will become ISO 9000 certified. That certification you can get it in few hours. Even now you can get it, because I was a lead assessor very long back. That time I was very serious because I was earning money because of my consulting. What happened is, then my suggestion was to them is, as Ram was talking about, the problem is mainly two for this kind of a small and medium industry. One is the cash, the other is market. But you have data. If this data can be mapped into like ONDC, what they are talking about, open network, for the digital commerce, if the data can be consumed by the bank, and the bank is on the real-time basis provide them the resources on comfort, because they know how exactly this organization works, then it becomes much more efficient for the companies to adapt. But the government support is initially needed to push this, because if you look at in MSME sector, there is an R&D funds are there. This is up to 10 lakh they can provide. If you go back and look at how many Tamil Nadu industries have used it, very, very minimal. They are not using it. Then we have to push, saying that this R&D fund, which is a grant, can be given to small and medium industry, so that they can start adapting it. To retrofit it, it is not more than 3 to 4 lakhs. And this can also be done in a way that you give payment. So all these problems can be resolved this one way. The second problem of market, I requested that company have a portal. Whoever use this kind of digital product, Industry 4.0 product, put them in your list, in your website, saying that these are most efficient companies, so that you get better markets for them. I am just talking about make it little more open on this. There is also adapting the similar model by funding it little earlier, so that the whole organization, state and the country can become much more, because this is a huge infrastructure, believe me. It is not easy for anybody to change. So I stop here.
Thank you. Thanks.